giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube, and of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! What's happening, people? It's a busy weekend. Very, very busy weekend around the league, but also here in Dallas. We got a few goodbyes. We got a promotion. We got a little extra money. We're going to talk about all that. That's some house cleaning. But we will also talk about 5 remaining free agent fits. Say that 5 times fast. 5 remaining free agent fits for the Dallas Cowboys coming up into the meat and potatoes of today's show. I got one that might be a little bit of a surprise. It might be a surprise to a lot of y'all, but it shouldn't surprise you given it fits exactly what they like to do at a particular position. So make sure y'all stick around for that. What's good, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
Huh? What's happening, man? The big wave, that first wave of free agency is over. And it wasn't just free agency that was happening. There was a lot of trades going on. Eagles, quarterback competition. I'm just saying, because if the Cowboys did that, it's quarterback competition in Dallas. It's a quarterback competition now. You got some trade. Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh getting Justin Fields for nothing. So it's a lot going on around the league, and the Cowboys made a few moves, and the former Dallas Cowboy we say goodbye to. We'll talk about that in the roundup. But before all of that, man, we had some news that dropped yesterday, and we had some news that dropped this morning, and I kind of want to jump into that real quick before we go into the roundup. So we kind of got like 2 roundups in a sense. So let's kind of talk about what happened with the Cowboys on Sunday. That had nothing to do with the NFL draft. Let's talk about that real quick. That's what I'm looking for. This guy, Al Harris, got promoted to assistant head coach to the Dallas Cowboys. So Mike McCarthy been working with Al Harris since what? I shouldn't say working with. He knows Al Harris since 2006, where he took over the job. He played with Mike McCarthy for 5 seasons, roughly. Came back in 2020 to rejoin Mike McCarthy with the Cowboys, and I think he's done a fantastic job. One of the most popular and respected, but most popular head assistant coaches in the Dallas Cowboys nation community, but definitely one of the more respected guys in that locker room and loved guys in that locker room. And I'd imagine because he didn't get the DC job, because he stayed with the Cowboys, I wonder if McCarthy wanted to give him this title because he may not have the chance to do it, right? Again. So this was 2021 after 2020, or even 2022 following the 2021 season. And he did this. He would have had technically 3 more seasons to kind of work under that title. And then maybe he goes on, moves forward, and becomes a head coach or a defensive coordinator. McCarthy's in a lame duck season. He has a new defensive coordinator, in my opinion. Not of his choosing. That's just how I feel about it. Nonetheless, he's going to try to operate under it, but promoting Harris to assistant head coach, I think, gives him a guy on that side of the ball. I hate to say it, that he trusts because of the relationship. I know I'm digging a little bit deeper here, and I probably should, but remember, he loved Dame. I mean, he practically went on a station and said, Dan, please don't leave me here by myself, right? He trusted Dan Quinn. He formed an amazing relationship with Dan Quinn. Was it his choice? Probably not, but that ended up working out really well. Well, Dan's out of here. His former guy he worked with for like 15 years is out of here in Joe Witt. AD's out of here. It's not too many guys that have that respect in that locker room and to Mike McCarthy than Al Harris. So now you get a new defensive coordinator, new linebackers coach, run game coordinator, new defensive line coach. Dan ain't got too many allies over there. And what I mean by that is sponsors, right? Those ain't his guys. Al Harris is his guy, so he can form some type of trust, or he has that type of trust with Al Harris on that side of the ball. So salute to Al Harris. This is a stand-up thing for McCarthy to do for him too, because if this doesn't work out for McCarthy, the season's over, he gets fired. This is on his resume in regards to Al. So now Al gets out there in the market and says, hey, I got X amount of years as a coach. Also, I have a season under my belt as assistant head coach. So if he wants to be a DC or a head coach, he has that potential. Also, the big news-ish coming out of Dallas was this. This morning, Phil Yates dropped a tweet that was very interesting, and then there was a follow-up tweet by Graziano that was even more interesting to me. The Cowboys converted $5 million roster bonus that was due to Dak Prescott into a signing bonus, creating a $4 million salary cap space relief in 2024. The move reduces Prescott's salary cap number to $55.4 million, while also adding extra void years to the deal for cap purposes. So there was 2 more void years added through 2028. This does not prevent the team and Prescott from further negotiation on a long-term extension, but it provides Dallas with immediate salary cap relief. Here's an important note that Dan Graziano dropped following this tweet that I think was maybe the most important note here. It says, quote, important on this is that they couldn't have added void years without Dak's permission. So they were working together at least a little bit. Extension still possible. I personally, I still think it gets done. I just think right now this is just how the Cowboys operate. I don't think it's great, but this is just what they do. They like to do this song and dance, and eventually they cave. That's just how it works. But I do think this is important to note that this doesn't happen unless Todd and his people are talking to Dak and Todd are talking to the Cowboys people to do this. Is it going to move the needle immensely? No. But this shows that there was some communication. But if you listen to Dak, you listen to Steve, and those guys have both said, hey, look, we're negotiating. I just refuse to talk to you guys about the negotiation, which is interesting because, they love to negotiate through the media, but they do it differently. They don't come out and tell you exactly what's going on. They just throw little things out there, especially early on in the offseason. But they press Steven a lot about, hey, how's the negotiations going? Hey, we negotiate. I'll leave it at that. I'm not giving you a timeline. I'm not telling you what we're doing. Hey, Dak, how's the negotiation? Hey, my people are handling that. Everything's going fine. This will get done. I have that same belief, but I know a lot of Cowboys Nation does not, and that's fine. I feel you. It's a frustrating time right now. But at the very least, this shows that they are working together. Spotrac came out and updated it really fast. I appreciate Spotrac. They showed the 2025 cap hit number because of this new restructure or what have you. It adds the $4 million to the 2025 cap hit number. So basically what I'm trying to get at here, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about moving around numbers. If the Cowboys do absolutely nothing, right? They don't extend Dak, doesn't get traded, which he wouldn't agree to that. That'd be silly. He could hit the open market. And he walks next year. Dallas will be on the hook for $40 million on the salary cap, not 36. So it went up even more without him even playing. Right? So he's not even on the team, but he's going to count upwards of $40 million on the salary cap and hope that they hit the lottery at the position because they'd probably draft a quarterback or do something, as well as having that enormous cap hit on the team. I just don't see it, man. I don't see them doing that. Not for a team that doesn't like to rebuild. I know a lot of people that's the big buzzword now, right? Is rebuild. The Joneses don't do that. They just don't. So I'm still of the belief this gets done. I know Jane came out a couple weeks ago and said August. Now that date kind of surprised me. That's a long ways away. But not getting something done now, that doesn't shock me because they weren't going to use the money to go spend in free agency anyway. So I don't buy the crap of, oh, well, we got to pay Micah and ZD and Dak and can't go out there and spend all that money. No, just be right. Just tell us what you told us and lean on that, which is, hey, we don't spend in free agency. I understand. You not spending in free agency has nothing to do with you extending a Dak or a CD or a Micah, which I think happens way later. But that has nothing to do with it. You could easily free up other money to spend. And they did that. They did that with this restructure. They also did it with some moves that were made. What was that? Saturday or Friday? Friday and Saturday, actually. And we're going to talk about that in the roundup. So now, got lots of Cowboys news. We will get to this roundup.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Lot going on. Lots going on. Not only are the Cowboys getting $4 million in cap relief today due to that restructure, but they will also receive some more millions with the release of LVE and Michael Gallup. Now, let's start with Gallup, which these two moves were expected. If you watch the cap casualty show that we did a while back, these were the top two guys we discussed. But Gallup was designated a June 1st release, which, again, that was one that was expected because you get the most money back for 2024. So they'll get $9.5 million in cap savings after June 1st. So they can't use that money now. After June 1st, it'll be used. You can speculate, hey, that's for the draft picks. However, draft picks you would hope are signed prior to that. If not, they get a bunch of money to do it afterwards. But I don't expect them to do anything crazy with it. The Cowboys, what they love to do is have a little bit of wiggle room around training camp time in that June, July area to sign one of these free agents that are not being signed now and will be available later. And I got a couple I think will be later on when we actually get to the actual meat and potatoes of the show. But the Michael Gallup deal it's all the experience, whatever you want to call it, is finally over. We understand they just absolutely fumbled the hell out of this situation. Number one, by signing him to that deal, which was not smart, and then restructuring that deal last year after trading for Cooks, or with the mind frame of trading for Cooks. It just didn't make any sense to do that because now you have to deal with the $8.5 million cap hit next year. So keep in mind, you could be paying like $50 million in cap, dead cap or cap, with two guys not here next year. I mean, just yeah. We had this conversation Friday. It's not about them signing guys and failing. It's about, guys that aren't in the building. It's about signing their own and it failing, and that's why they can't. But whole nother discussion. Anyway, best of luck to Michael Gallup. He's released. Cowboys get $9.5 million after June 1st. He's got a meeting, I think, with the Panthers. We'll see what happens over there with Bryce Young. LVE, as expected again, was released, and the Cowboys will get $2.2 million in cap relief. Had they not done it, he would have counted $4 million against the cap. It's very likely that Leighton Vander Esch will retire. Just too many neck injuries. I mean, every year it's a neck injury. He's got a family now to look after. It sucks for him because he never got the bag. But I said this 2 years ago when they decided to bring him back. The league told you how they felt about Leighton, whether it's his play or injuries, whatever. No team was offering the bag for Leighton Vander Esch. You know how I know this? Because he would have went and got that bag. He got a 1 year, damn near felt like vet minimum deal the first time, and then he signed a 2 year deal where I think it was like guarantees of like what, y'all, $3-4 million, something like that last year. Nobody was trying to give Leighton the bag, and that's because most teams already had this dude off their board from the draft because of the next situation. And then he had a bunch of them during his career in Dallas. So sucks for LVE to go out like this. But, much like anybody that dons the star and plays a significant amount of time, appreciate your services. Wish it could have ended better, but it didn't. So I wish Gallup and LVE nothing but the best, man. The biggest kind of Cowboys-related news, though, to come out this weekend was Tyron Smith. One of the all-time great Dallas Cowboys has officially moved on and signed with the Jets. Weren't we just talking about this Friday? We were talking about how, hey, Tyron gets out in the market. Cowboys say, hey, go see what you can get. Go see if another team will say, well, hey, man, you don't got to practice. And you can play on Saturday, and we'll pay you X amount. We'll pay you all this money. And initially, when the deal went down, you heard 1 year, $20 million. And we was like, yeah. But like I always tell y'all, the devil's in the details. The large number is never the real number. There's always something else to it. And the details of Tyron Smith's contract go as follows. It's a 1 year, $6.5 million guaranteed deal with another $13.5 million to be earned based on playing time and other incentives. 1 year, $6.5 million with upwards of $13.5 million to be earned. Boy, that's a lot. That's a lot. A lot of wiggle room right there. And usually, if a guy hits his incentives, that's a good thing. That means he played a significant amount of time. He hit his production rate, whatever needed to be done, right? This bears a question to ask here, because y'all know how I feel. Let me bring y'all back. You know how I feel about moving on. Told you, moving on from him is not what pisses me off most. It's about the plan, and the process in which doing so. I think you had a massive opportunity to do this, and it's just a blip on the radar because you'd had two young guys had they made a different move last year. But that's water under the bridge. So I want to ask y'all. Tyron Smith, 1 year, $6.5 million guaranteed and $13.5 million with incentives. Would you have done that deal? Would you have brought Tyron Smith back on that contract? Now, I'm going to be unfair because I'm going to provide kind of caveats with this. And that's, yes, under the assumption you're truly, I ain't going to use that word. You're truly going for the gusto. That's what I used to use before, brother. If you're truly going for it, yeah, I would have done that. If your mindset is to just kind of get back to where you were in a sense, you're not really trying to elevate. Y'all know how I feel about that. And you're not really trying to make all these moves to put a better personnel than the previous season on the field. Then I think there is something to saying, hey, let's just rip this thing off. Because you probably should have ripped it off a few years ago. So it's interesting. So given the way they are moving, I don't even know if I'd have did it. Just given the way they're moving. To me, they're not moving with some urgency of, hey, man, we got 1 year to figure this thing out. They're kind of moving with this comfortability of, oh, we're just going to continue to do what we do. Because what we've done makes us a competitive team. No big deal, right? And that's brought a lot of frustration amongst the fans, which I totally get. Because it hasn't gotten you over the hump. But would you have brought Tyron Smith back on this deal? Move on. A lot of yeses here. A no from Mark, easy. No brainer. It is crazy. $6.5 million deal. It's hard to argue that. So now that kind of gives you a mind frame of where they were or where they went into at the combine. You know, they went to the combine, they talked to his people, and if that was the number, which I don't know if that was the number, you know, if his people say, hey man, we're looking at $7 million. Just give us $7 million this year, and we want to reach incentives. We want to do incentives. They didn't even do so. These incentives are going to $20 million for the Jets. That wasn't even the case last year for Tyron. What did that reach? Like 16 or something? Maybe. I don't even know if it went that high. So if you would have told me 20 million was the tops, yeah, I don't think Dallas would have been in the market for that. But 6 million as the base. If you really trying to, 2024, we're trying to go for this thing. I don't know how you say no. If you really trying to go for it. Interesting. Very interesting. Nonetheless, they don't use the money on Tyron. They get money from the Dak situation. They get some money from Michael Gallup and LVE. But how will they use said money? The first wave of free agency is gone. We're about to start hitting that second wave. A little bit later, be the third wave. And the Cowboys, hell, I don't want to even call it a wave. It's a ripple. They still partake in this situation in August, in July. They've signed the Malik Hookers. They've signed Everson Griffin. They've signed, who was it last year or 2 years ago? Anthony Barr. All these guys were brought in July. So, it's still July, August. It's still a possibility they bring in somebody later. So the free agent fits that we're going to discuss today are not necessarily guys they can go out and sign right now. Now, some of them they may have to. Some of them, there may be a competitive market for their veteran services, and they may have to get them sooner rather than later. But I think a handful of these dudes, they don't mind chilling, A lot of these guys don't like to do OTAs in camp anyway. But some of these guys need to be brought in to get up to speed with some things. But not this guy. So I'm going to give you 5 remaining free agent fits. And the first one I want to talk about, everybody is very, very aware of this free agent. And that's Jonathan Hankins. We discussed him when discussing who the Cowboys should bring back. And, we brought up defensive tackle trade targets. We brought up defensive tackle free agent Catboy criteria fits. Last year, Jonathan Hankins was on a Cowboy criteria. I left him off this year just so I can, present different names. But, he's the ultimate Cowboy criteria fit here. He's going to be extremely cheap again. He's going to probably sign a 1-year deal, less than $2 million. He's been around this locker room, knows this team, knows this defensive line room, and fits what Zimmer likes, and that's a big old fat boy. That's a big old fat boy the Cowboys do not have right now. Now, there seems to be a mixed opinion on Hanks amongst the nation, but I personally, I think he'd be a quality bring back. Not shocking that he hasn't yet, because if you go back and look last year, I don't believe they re-signed Hankins until like the second or third week anyway in free agency. However, Big Hank went on Twitter and said, shit, I got some damn breaking news. Hank said, hey, I got some free agent news that'll be hitting here soon. And I know he's done some visits. One particularly, Seattle has interest. Coach Aiden Durde, who coached him for a year and a half, is over there in Seattle. So there could be a potential competition there. Seattle, from all accounts, good city, right? But I think he likes Dallas. I think Zimmer would like to have Hankins. Given the Cowboys are likely not going to go out and spend a whole bunch of money or make a crazy trade, much rather have a big fella at camp than not. You know, I'd rather get to. I don't want what happened in 2022 to happen in 2024. Meaning, you know, you're cutting all these dudes. Maybe you're trying to rely on a 5th round, 6th round, 7th round rookie or a first. And it's not working out. And now we get to week 8 after giving up 150 yards a game and you go trade for Jonathan Hankins, right? Like, let's not do that. Let's not be proactive. Bring the guy in here. He doesn't stop you from drafting a guy. Doesn't stop you from adding another guy. I think this is an easy fit because he's been here. And we've seen the impact that he's had when asked to do the specific job that he usually does. And now he'll be occupying bodies in front of him with Kendricks behind him. That's a whole different ball game. That's a whole different ball game. The details did come out though on Eric Kendricks' deal, which again, right up the Cowboys' alley. You know, they understand what they're doing here. Let's take a look at this deal, shall we? It's a 1-year, $3.5 million deal, signing bonus of $1 million, base salary of 1.5 guaranteed. Boy, let me just say this. Cap number $2.9 million. Let me just say this. This front office, from a player acquisition, not drafting situation, one thing they elite at, boy, they elite at these cheap ass deals, ain't they? Boy, they elite. 1.5 guaranteed. How the hell that happened? Now, Kendrick's been around a lot. He did have an interview with Nick Eatman, and it's so funny because, boy, Nick just straight up. Here's what Nick did. Nick hit him with the, so you know, Mike Zimmer's you're really hard to get along with. What happened with y'all? Boom. And he's like, hey man, you know, we cool. We both have a big personality. We butt heads a little bit, but we both want the same thing. You know, he gets the best out of me. I feel like I get the best out of him, and it all works out. So, Nick Eatman hit him with the, hey Kendrick, what the happened? And you can tell Eric Kendricks was like, come on, man. I just signed let's do this in the locker room after I go rap to Zim again or something like that. Hey, Eric Kendricks, what's beef? Let Eric Kendricks settle in, man. You probably left that thing like, oh, this is what they mean by the media ain't shit down here. Okay, yeah. Now, all jokes aside, though, Eric Kendricks, you know, being behind Jonathan Hankins in the front seven, yeah, I think that's going to make Hankins better. It's going to make Kendricks better. It's going to make whoever is next to him better. And we got an option, right? Let's talk about the second one, though. This is, again, a couple of these guys going to be very familiar. Very, very familiar, man. Jadeveon Clowney, again, this is probably more wishful thinking. I think he's the ultimate mercenary, right? He's taken a lot of these short-term deals, 1-year deals over the last 5-6 years. And mind you, we're talking about positions that the depth right now is very questionable. We talk about defensive tackle was Osa Mazi and Carl Davis. I mean, questionable is being nice. You have none. Defensive end, we're talking about, yeah, you got Micah and D-Law, but behind that, we don't know what the hell Sam Williams is going to be, right? No more DA, no more Fowler. Fehoko is there's no Coach AD or DQ in the room. His sponsors are gone. No, Fehoko may not even fit what Zimmer wants to do. We don't know. Chauncey Ghost, and I do think it would be a good fit here if moved back to defensive end, shed a couple pounds, get back down to around 275. He'd be I always believe he'd be a solid, strong side guy. I think he is actually, but the depth there is also questionable. And you could argue you can't scratch off this position in the draft, but that's a whole nother discussion we'll get on when we get back to draft stuff, possibly this week. But Clowney, the problem with him in regard, not even him, it's Cowboys, is that even if he does come in on a particularly cheap deal relative to the rest of the league, it's an expensive deal for Dallas. Meaning, if Clowney says, "Yeah, I'll play on a 1 year, $9 million deal," that's just far above the Cowboys' spending position. Now it could be, hey, we'll give you $6 million and you could earn $3 million in incentives. I think that's an easy deal to make for me. The last time they gave a 1 year deal worth a ton of money to a defensive end, close your ears, was Greg Hardy. That was half of a disaster. Meaning, boy, I don't know if y'all remember that time, but man, I wasn't streaming. I was doing audio podcasts on Spotify, like a rapper. Like, hey, yo, listen to my Spotify. I was writing articles and whatnot. Man, that was crazy. That was a crazy time to follow when they was chasing down Greg Hardy. But they gave him like a 1 year deal, and I think he got over $10 million or something. 2015. So it was after the Brandon Carr situation. And this is nothing like Greg Hardy. He doesn't have the off-field issues. He's still playing very well. I think it'd be worth it to give him a 1 year deal with some incentives. You could use the depth, especially if you move Micah back to backer. I mean, you really don't have any at all. You could argue it's questionable as is. So, for me, Clowney makes a ton of sense. I remember the release to crack. It's crazy. I remember that specifically. Wasn't that what was it saying? Sacks coming. That's what it was. Sacks coming, And he was a hell of a player. He's a head case, literally, Not a good man, not a good dude. But I saw Chase Young's name get thrown in here. My problem with Chase Young is he could be costly as well. And I know we're in that second wave, so it might not be as costly. There are question marks around his want to win motor. You kind of saw it a little bit in the playoffs, but then he got to the Super Bowl and he kind of showed out. So and I'm gonna tell you something right now. If you have a questionable motor or lack thereof a motor, Zim ain't the guy you want to. Jeff Skanina and Zim ain't the guy. Now, Skanina did coach Chase Young, so he would know. So if they were to look into Chase Young and they want to pay him a pretty sizable contract, and I say sizable relative to the Cowboys, Skanina could say, hey, look, yeah, this will work. No, he was a head case. He couldn't do this, couldn't do that, right? And maybe Chase Young, the market drops, and he gets to a point where he says, you know what, I'll take a 1 year small deal. I'm young. Let me go prove myself, and then boom, I'll get the bag somewhere the next year. It's possible too. I suppose it's possible as well. So I guess it would come down to the bread. Even with Clowney, I put Clowney there, but even Clowney, I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like it'd be too much money. This guy though. This guy is a guy. Where's I forget the dude's name. He's been asking for the Cowboys to trade for this dude for like 3 years. I think he said give up like a first round pick for this dude too. I mean, he was, oh my goodness. But Isaiah Simmons is now a free agent, and he got traded to the Giants last year, and he had a decent season. 50 tackles. He had a pick, forced fumble recovery, 16 stops, and 8 pressures. He was supposed to be Micah Parsons before Micah Parsons, right? Coming out of Clemson. But think about this. Even with signing Eric Kendricks, you're still in need of another linebacker or two. And there's other linebackers out there, but the linebacker market is drying up big time. Now, I'm going to completely ignore his market value on Spotrac. There's just no way in hell that is real. I don't know if it's a typo, but they said his market value was $16 million. I mean, what are we talking about? Dude's not getting no $16 million annually. You can forget about that. The question becomes, again, where is truly his market value? Hankins is easy. Hankins he ain't going to cost you much. Clowney, I think it's going to cost you a lot. I figure personally, Isaiah Simmons is not going to cost you a lot. And this is also something the Cowboys like to do, right? Take a flyer on a former first-round pick that's kind of flaming out, but still young enough that you feel like you can get something out of. And Simmons, he gives you something that you did not have at the linebacker position last year, and that's size and athleticism, the combination. You had athleticism. That was never the problem. You never had the real size there. So if you bring him in at a fairly reasonable price, again, it always comes down to this. Your linebacker room kind of gets it gets some depth at the very least. I'm not even booking any of these dudes besides Kendricks as a bona fide starter. But if you bring him in, let's just hypothetically speak here, bring in Isaiah Simmons. Now you got Kendricks, Simmons, Clark, Overshown, and you still have the ability to draft a guy. What this allows you to do is kind of take your time with Overshown, him coming back, bring in legitimate competition for Clark, and nobody in that room is really safe outside of Kendricks. So now it's kind of like I said, break the pool stick, throw it in the room, and say, may the best man win. Overshown even said that, honestly. Overshown said, hey, if we can bring some competition in here, that's going to make everybody better. Now, Simmons may not be the guy, but again, we're running out. You're running out of options. Let me go to this real quick. Let's see the linebackers. I'm going to read some names to y'all. And it ain't a whole lot of inside linebacker. Zach Cunningham is still out there. Neville Hewitt. Shaq Leonard. Quan Alexander. Blake Martinez. I thought Blake Martinez retired. He was still playing. Diane Cole. Oh, man, I remember him. There's not a lot going on here, man. Now, maybe you can make a trade for a guy, but I thought coming into this thing, Cowboys Nation,
Each other, like, even though
we're late, we're messed up right here. We get over late. Me and AV are pretty much stacked.
Let me go fix that. But I thought coming into this thing, you could have definitely signed a linebacker. I don't know why they, they did. They signed Kendricks, but you could have signed multiple. Now maybe they say, hey, we're confident in Clark. We're confident in Overshown coming back. Y'all know how I feel about the Overshown situation. Love Overshown. I think Overshown, man, I don't knock this dude. I feel like at some point he'll figure this thing out, right? But here's what worries me about him is it's an ACL situation. And with ACL situations in Dallas, I don't trust it as much. I'm just being real. I don't trust that the ACL situation for Overshown will be completely healed and he'll be back to himself. You don't got to worry about linebacker. I ain't taking that risk, especially in a year where, you absolutely have to have it. So I say, why not go out and get another backer? It don't got to be Simmons, but a former top 10 pick. Cowboys love to take flyers on those. Igbenogany, they traded for a former first round pick. Trey Lance, former top 5 pick. Isaiah Simmons fits right up the alley. Athletic, I wouldn't say he's the most heady player. More plays on his athleticism than his instincts. But next to a Kendricks with Mike Zimmer, Paul Gunther, another year in the league, going into his 5th season. Hey, maybe he gets better in that department. But I do think the Cowboys need to add another linebacker. I think they will add another linebacker. It just may not be now. It may be July. It may be in August. But get me somebody else in here to compete in this room. This next one. I want to talk. I want to see what you guys got to say about this next one. Because it's at a position that we've talked about a lot, specifically via the draft. And it's wide receiver. Now, the Cowboys don't particularly lack depth at wide receiver. Like I think they personally have a solid group, but I'm never against adding more talent. I tell you that all the time. Lamb, Cooks, Tolbert, Turpin. You can throw in Brooks there if you want. But I do think they should add another guy. Now, the type is up for debate. You know, a lot of people want the big body guy. Go get Mike Williams. I'm telling you right now, Mike Williams is going to be way out the price range. Way out of it. But he makes sense. But he's not going to play for pennies. I don't think, at least. And he's in a bidding war already. He has the Jets. He has the Panthers. Don't think it's going to happen. Renfro was interesting because we haven't had his type since Cole Beasley left. And I get the Cole Beasley, Wes Welkers aren't out there as much anymore, but they still provide to me an impact depending on who you get. So why is he available? Well, Hunter Renfro just pretty much fell out of favor the last 2 seasons in Oakland, in Las Vegas, once they got Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams got signed. And after a 1,000-yard season in 2021, the dude didn't even combine for the same amount of catches that he did in 2021. So the last 2 years, he's got less receptions than he had in 2021. He fell completely out of favor. In 2021, he had 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, and he just really reminded me of Cole in that red zone. Just had way more touchdowns. He's young. He's only 28. He should be cheap. There's no way him and his agents can go into anybody's room and demand some ridiculous amount of money based off his production the last 2 seasons. So he should be relatively cheap. I think depending on the situation he goes to, he can rejuvenate his career. So let's talk hypotheticals here. What would be his fit in Dallas? Right now, in my opinion, Jake Ferguson is your only middle of the field guy. And one could argue that they don't even really use his middle of the field ability all that well, right? He hits the seam a few times, but I feel like, that needs to happen more often. But Renfro would offer another middle of the field option, right? You want to talk about route runner, shifty guy, and he's normally sure-handed. Now, he had a lot of drops last year, but over the first 4 years of his career, he had a total of 9 drops. That was 2.5 drops per season. Not even that, 2.2 drops per season. He had 6 last year. So I feel like that's an outlier. But also another reason why you go into that negotiation room and he's going to be dirt cheap. So another reason why I feel like the Cowboys could potentially look into somebody in the slot, a slot, not to take over for CeeDee Lamb in the slot, right? But if you go look at CeeDee Lamb's usage last year, his boundary snaps increased. He went up to close to 50%. I think it was not close to 50. I think it went over 40%, where he was under that the previous season. And he had success out there. Like when CeeDee Lamb was moved out on the boundary, whether it be due to motion or whatever, he was cooking. It's Lamb. He's a top 5 receiver to me. So he's cooking, period. But he played more snaps on the boundary than any other year except the year where Michael Gallup went down, in 2021. So say that number increases, I don't think Cooks he's a slot type in regards to body, but that's not really what he does. Turpin is more of a specialty receiver. Tolbert, while he can go in there and do it, he's not a slot. If they really want a guy to do slot stuff, Hunter Renfro makes sense. He's a pure slot. And if Cooks or the rookie, even though the rookie, I'm just guessing, they said draft a rookie. The rookie, I don't think is going to necessarily be a guy that other teams are going to respect right off the bat. But if Cooks is on the outside, Lamb is on the outside, I think you now have a legitimate slot guy that teams have to at least, hey man, this dude can route up my CB3. While at the same time having to worry about, oh shit, Jake Ferguson could also crush the middle of the field. So at the very least, Renfro, if, he's back to being a slot guy, like, slot demon, dynamo is what they call him, he will make a defensive coordinator have to say, okay, we got to worry about Lamb over here. Got to worry about Cooks' speed. We know Jake Ferguson is a guy that can tear up the middle. I don't really got to worry about, I don't got to worry about Turpin doing any slot. I don't got to worry about Tolbert doing anything crazy in the slot. Wait a minute. Renfro can route my CB3, CB4 safety linebacker up, though. And the Cowboys were criticized for not attacking the middle of the field that much. So while Hunter Renfro doesn't fit that Mike McCarthy, big 6'4", 6'3", 6'2" type wide receiver. I think there's something to having a slot guy. Now, he did have Randall Cobb, who did a lot of things, though. I think he was more of a versatile cat. But this would be a bit different for him. I don't even know necessarily if it's a McCarthy fit, but I think from a position fit for the Cowboys, Renfro could add another option. And this is also what it does. You get to the draft, you don't necessarily have to scratch out receiver, but you can also say, if you have a plan, right? You can also say, okay, Lamb, Cooks, Ferg, Renfro, we know we can roll out here and we can score 30 points in the regular season. We can score 30 points in the regular season if we got a legitimate plan. So I don't have to reach, or I don't have to box myself into a corner. I don't even think they're boxed to a corner at the position anyway, but it gives you kind of an insurance. Or if a guy does fall to you, granted, you probably sign Renfro, so it's a crowded room, whatever. Like I said, I'm not drafting a guy because of Tolbert. I'm not signing a guy because of Tolbert or Turpin or Brooks. Those guys don't really factor into my decision making. I don't think they move the needle enough not to. So I kind of Hunter Renfro as a slot dynamo. What are we thinking here, man? I know a lot of y'all want the big guy. I know a lot of y'all want Mike Williams. I just read something here. Let me just refresh, because a lot of y'all just be saying stuff sometimes. I don't see that. All right, so I ain't going to address it. Let me see here. You can't coach the 4-2-1. No, sir, you cannot. But here's the thing about Worthy. To me, it's not even a 4-2 speed, though. For me, I like his movement. I think he's stupid, twitchy. I think he can be a yak guy. And I think he's tough for kind of a, they call old boy in Philly the Slim Reaper. I mean, he at least has proven that, I don't got to be a 200 pounds. I think bro's like 165. And he's a pretty, I don't want to use the word dominant, but he can dominate a game, excuse me. And Devontae Smith, he can dominate a game. Yeah, I don't see that either, Mark, so I'm not going to address it. We need to ultimately upgrade Cooks. I agree. And here's the other thing about I told you guys already. This receiver class is deep, man. I'm definitely not pressing at 24 because of how deep this receiving class is. I think you can still get a top quality guy on day 2. 100%. Now it's the second time I'm seeing this. All right, I'm refreshing. Anybody else got something here on this J-Ron thing? Because I do think that is something we would have to discuss a little bit here. I'm not seeing it. Let me type in his name here. Not seeing it. Where are we seeing this at? Facebook? I mean, I'm on Twitter. Clickbait. Y'all gotta. Yeah, I don't think this is Marcus who tweeted it. Marcus Mosier. Let me see here. I don't see this either. Who? My bad for kind of disrupting this, but obviously, if the Cowboys are re-signing J-Ron Kearse, it's a bit newsworthy here. Can somebody drop a link? I'm not seeing this anywhere. Yesterday, Nate, he wasn't. If he was re-signed yesterday, we would know. So I think somebody has been trolled. If fake news, that's what I think. this is Lion season. So, if it happens and if there's like legitimate sources that drop it, I'm seeing absolutely nothing on this. I could send out a text real quick for somebody down there to see what this is about. But yeah, I don't see anything. Usually I only address stuff like this if it's, Professor O, maybe Stevie Mack might drop something here. But I ask again, I haven't had to say this in a long time. Unless you are 100% sure and you get a refute, like a real reporter saying this, please don't do that in the chat, because I try to engage, but that can definitely mess some things up, as you guys can see. So I'm not saying nothing yet. If you guys do see it and it's legitimate, let me know. All right, so back to what I was talking about, and I didn't get a chance to really get y'all thoughts on a potential Hunter Renfro situation. I truly do want to hear from y'all about Hunter Renfro. He's been cut, and I do like a lot of names in the draft. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying you sign him, it doesn't move the needle that much, but I'm just genuinely want to kind of discuss it with you guys and get some of your thoughts on a Hunter Renfro. yeah, brother L. just curious on thoughts, not just yes or no's, just kind of what's your thoughts on a Hunter Renfro, out or in? It doesn't matter if you are. I just want to kind of know. I just very interested in Cowboys Nation, because on the streets, there's a lot of Hunter Renfro talk. Has been a lot of Hunter Renfro talk. Hunter Renfro for the right price, I'd be okay with it. Who Sports Illustrated got the J-Ron? Oh, I'm still... All right, man. Let me send out this message. Y'all bear with me. All right. Message sent. I wouldn't be mad at it. It'd be okay. No problem, no major risk involved. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. I don't think it's risky. Leggett's an option. There's so many. Just so many. The Parasol kid. We talked about the Alabama kid. Washington got like 3 dudes. There's so many. Malachi. There's so many you can get between day 2, round 2 to 4 or 5. I'll probably cap it at 4. That I am not stressed at 24. But adding a guy like Renfro even gives you more insurance. As long as he ain't crazy like Beasley, I've never heard anything about him being crazy like Beasley. Always like Renfro. Same. Okay. This last one, Cowboys Nation. Okay. 1 second, I got a response. As my guy's heard nothing. He's asking where the hell I heard that from. All right, we'll move forward. This last one is definitely, I don't think is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, because the guy is. Let's just be honest. He hasn't really played a ton lately, and in fact, let me pull it up here. Here we go. He hasn't played a ton, but when I bring this name up, you have to understand why I believe he fits for multiple different reasons. Now, I'm talking about offensive lineman, offensive tackle, David Bakhtiari. Whoa, Scott, what are you talking about here, man? This dude, he don't play. He don't play. Which is all the reason why this guy.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Is probably all in. Okay, so allow me to discuss why I think Bakhtiari is a fit. I am not sold. Let me just say that. I'm not sold yet on them moving Tyler to left tackle. And if they are not sold on it, they could technically be looking for a guy for insurance. Does he want to play though? I don't know. I have no idea. The Packers cut him obviously because he hasn't played a whole bunch. But let's not forget, Dallas is all about getting a veteran swing tackle, depth guy, all about it. Just go look at the history. Byron Bell, Cam Irving, Cam Fleming, Ty Nsekhe, Jason Peters, Chuma Edoga. In fact, the one time that they didn't do it, and they said, you know what? Hey, well, they attempted not to. Hey, we love our young guys. Matt Waletzko and Josh Ball. Oh, we love our guys. We don't need to go sign a veteran depth guy. They got to camp and said, oh, shit. We need to sign a veteran depth guy. Tyron Smith goes down. They go out and get Jason Peters. Now, here's where things are slightly different now than previous seasons. Dallas is not looking for veteran insurance for Tyron anymore. That's where I think this thing changes a little bit. They could be looking for insurance for either A, the draft. I mean, they want to cover themselves in case they don't like any of the guys, which would be hard to not. A lot of dudes. B, insurance in case they do draft that draft pick, right? And he ain't ready or something. Or C, insurance for Tyler Smith. If they do want to move Tyler Smith out to tackle. Now, here's the thing with Bakhtiari. I don't think he's a signing that will be made anytime soon. This could be very Jason Peters-like for any team, whether it's Cowboys or anybody else. But look at the depth at the position. And if you notice, I don't have Tyler Smith there because we don't know for sure where he's going to be. But he just became an all-pro at left guard. I personally, if they decide to do absolutely nothing, I think moving him to tackle and putting Bass at left guard going into the draft or out of the draft, depending what they do, I think makes sense. But I think they're going to go into the draft saying whatever, how the board falls. Look at this. Look at this depth. So Steele's your tackle at your right tackle, right? We have no idea who the left tackle is yet. Well, let's go. And I say Awesome Richards with a question mark because Awesome Richards played more guard. Like, real quick, I mean, Bakhtiari aside, Cowboys, like Bakhtiari aside, can we have a conversation? The tackle depth is atrocious. Tyron Smith is gone. That's official. He's gone. Even if you move Tyler Smith to left tackle, your tackle depth is atrocious. David Bakhtiari has gotten the bag. I don't think he's going to come in and play for him. I mean, the dude, he ain't played. He played 11 games 2 years ago, 1 game last year, like 2 the previous season. So he is very much on that Jason Peters trajectory, where Jason Peters, he showed he still could play, but he couldn't play a lot. So you ain't got no depth, man. La'el Collins is not on this team, Nick. I thought we made that clear last week or whatever the week was. La'el Collins is not on this team. David Bakhtiari was drafted by Mike McCarthy. So he's got the Mike McCarthy connection. Played 6 seasons under him. He's a veteran. He's always hurt. He's cheap. He fits the CBC Cat Boy criteria.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
So, like, I'm not throwing this. I'm not trying to be cute. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm not. I truly do believe he fits. Now, I don't think they make this move anytime soon. I think this will be a move. And Bakhtiari probably is like, I'm chilling, bro. I'm not going to buy his OTA. Now, he can get signed, right? But it feels like he's a type of veteran free agent that can say, hey, I'll holler at y'all in June, July, you know, once we get to camp. But you need depth, man. I'd prefer the depth now so I can go into this draft not having to draft for need. We talked about that last week, and I kind of dropped a little video from that where, you know, we talk about all the time, hey, man, you don't want to go into the draft having to draft for need. Well, then you need to do the things not to draft for need. And this is a position right now, let's just be real, center, tackle. These ain't just some little needs. These are major needs. So now I'm not saying Bakhtiari changes much, but at the very least, what he does is gives you insurance. Even if you don't want him to start. Even if you say, hey, we're bringing Bakhtiari as not a starter. Then I can go to the draft. Let's just play a game, y'all. Say we take Jordan Morgan. Right? Morgan gets here. Bakhtiari has the competitive juices going. And Bach is like, I mean, I ain't letting this rookie. And he just, you know, he's killing it. But Jordan Morgan says, man, I ain't letting this old man beat me out. Hell no. And he legitimately beats out Bach, who's no slouch. And that's wonderful. Say Jordan Morgan doesn't, though, right? Okay, boom. He needs a little time to develop. Even if it's not a full year. Even if Bakhtiari gets hurt early in the season, he's gotten those extra reps in practice, camp, preseason, whatever. He's gotten time, weeks to develop. And then you throw Morgan in there and we go. And I'm just throwing any name out there. I'm not opposed here to bringing in a veteran guy that's not named Chuma Edoga. Yeah, Bakhtiari not going to the Jets is a bit surprising. Iceberg Slim, this is the time of the year where you're the most hyperbolic fan that I know in this chat. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's like, dude, relax. You called Brooks, Chris Carter. You called Awesome Richards, Eric Williams. Didn't you call somebody else Tony Dorsett or something? I mean, boy, you're so hyperbolic, man. You said that Jake Ferguson ain't shit. Hey, Slim, how about we just wait to see what he said Awesome Richards will be the starting left tackle. Look, y'all. I hope like hell Awesome Richards balls out like that to be the Cowboys starting left tackle at some point. And I get it. Fans, we can easily I'll just throw crazy shit out there because who cares if you're wrong. I like to be thorough in what I'm saying here. And thoroughly speaking, watching Awesome Richards, listening to what's going on down there, let's let him develop a little bit. He a 5th round pick that don't even know where the hell he gonna be. Let him develop. Let's see let's get OTAs. Let's get to camp. Let's get to preseason. Let's see something before we just calling this man Eric Williams. Let's relax a little bit, man. I'm going crazy, man. Chris Carter and Eric Williams is insane. It's insane. Let's relax. 903. You the first caller of the morning. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Scott?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Look, I agree, man. I just can't see them going into the season with an unproven commodity at left tackle. I get that, you know, what's the left guard? I forgot his name that quick. I get that they saying that they can move him over to
Tyler?
to left
Tyler
tackle.
Smith?
Yeah, Tyler. I get the move over to left tackle, but he's an all-pro at left guard. You know, like you're creating a whole, you know, we talk about this, you're creating a whole nother spot or scenario where it's like move one and then you got to deal with two. When it comes to like proving,
you don't think?
Go ahead,
I think Tyler. I think Tyler proved he can handle left tackle duties. Definitely as a rookie. And if we're just talking about scenarios, I'm trying to find the one here real quick. If we're just talking about scenarios, the scenario I prefer is Tyler Smith, Bass, and then you draft a rookie center. I think that's the best scenario given all the scenarios. Rather keep Tyler at guard, you need to draft a left tackle and you need to draft a center. That's all I'm saying. Like, I look, I'm for keeping Tyler at left guard for sure. Like, but what are my options around that? What do you think is better? Do you think rookie left tackle, third, fourth round center, or Tyler at left tackle, Bass at left guard, and say you get Barton or JPJ at center, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that second one better for me. I don't know.
I mean, I like that as an option, but it's just like, man, I'm like, you know, you want to improve the run game. You know, they want to improve the run game. They let the running backs go. Zeke the prior year, now Pollard's gone.
Sure.
So we don't have a proven commodity at running back. And the offensive line has been a staple for the Cowboys for so long. Now it's like, you know, are we what are we doing with that?
I think it's been over-exaggerated for so long, honestly. Or exaggerated. That's like a double. It's been exaggerated. I think people look at the offensive line and the run game like it was back in 2016. The offensive line hasn't been consistently, in my opinion, elite, like consistent year after year for quite some time, whether it be because of injuries, whether it be because of, you know, having to put guys in and out. But I don't think they've been a just consistent juggernaut since the 2014 to like 2018 run. And 18, sure, they didn't even have Frederick. So it's been a while for me, personally.
True. And ever since Kellen Moore came in and started running the offense, like it was downhill from there.
That's
like,
true, too.
He just never really pressed for the run game. I mean, I like Tyler. I mean, I know he could play left tackle, but he's an all-pro left guard. Like, you know.
That's hey, bro, it's fair. I hear you, and I ain't even gonna fight you on it. You know what I mean? I get it. It's just we're not left with a ton of options. You know what I'm saying? Like we're kind of being backed into a corner right now. And if I'm getting backed into a corner and I've only got these options. Granted, they didn't sign a Bakhtiari type. Just right now, what we have right now, if Tyler stays at left guard, we have massive holes at two of the most important positions on the offensive line. Massive.
Right. And I just can't, I mean, mentally, I can't process, like, okay, we're all in on Dak. You know, you just, you know, you did some cap numbers for his contract, and now you're telling me, well, we're going to stick him out there and we're going to have Tyler could play left tackle, and we're going to have an unproven commodity that hadn't played a full season at left guard, and we're going to throw somebody in there at center. We're going to be all right. We're going to go to the Super Bowl with that. I mean, come on, man. That's not really adding up, and I just can't see a scenario where
math.
Just, that's how it's got to be.
The math ain't math, no.
It ain't adding up.
Yeah, man.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I think I'm more of a proven commodity like a Bakhtiari, somebody that has NFL snaps experience at left tackle, and that's a fail-safe. Hey, if it don't work out, then you can always move Tyler. Like that's always you can go to that. And Bass, yes, I think he could play in the NFL. I think he could start one day. I think we're trying to throw him out there prematurely because we saw a couple of games where he played okay.
I'm going to push back on you. With Bass, okay? Because I think Bass has proven himself in the sense of if he needs to go out there to start, he handled himself very well. Now, what I won't do is, I keep saying it, and I said this before, Bass doesn't stop me from drafting a specific guy, right? Like, he's not going to stop me. But what Bass does give me, if they move Tyler to left tackle, is he gives me some confidence at that position because I've seen him do it. You know what I'm saying? I've seen Bass do it a good amount of time in his rookie year, by the way. In his rookie year, without the offseason peanut butter, he was already one of the smartest young rookies on this team. Now he can get stronger and more heady. And one of the things that he kind of needed to work on to me was getting to the second level. And I saw him improve a little bit towards the end of the season at doing that. Other than that, man, I mean, this dude was a phenomenal pass blocker to me. He's a nasty player. Could he get a little bit more movement in the ground? Sure. But I do think there is something to Bass if your mindset is to move Tyler to left tackle. If you're saying, well, I don't want to get worse at left guard, then yeah, Bass is going to be worse than Tyler Smith. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know. I think you're a little bit too down on Bass being a starter. Because think about this, bro. We cannot have 5 All-Pros, 5 Pro Bowlers, 5 first-round picks, 5, as you would say, proven commodity. We can't have it. We just can't on the line, given our situation. So you got to take a bit of a risk somewhere. And if I'm taking a risk, I'd rather the risk be taken at guard and not center or tackle. Even though you're going to probably have to take a risk at center too. But you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather that risk be at guard, is all I'm saying.
Right. Because, you think about Dak, as far as the quarterback, is number one, as far as protection-wise, is his blind side, which would be the left tackle. So I could see a scenario where it's Tyron Smith. But the thing is, I think the Cowboys just don't want to come out and say it because it's kind of up in the air. They want to kind of see how the draft plays out and who falls to them.
I think that too, bro. I agree. Yeah.
But I'm just worried about center, man. I don't want another Biotish or fake badass or whatever his name is that get pushed around and gets bullied at the center position and, causes the pocket.
You got a hell of a draft to take a center. You got a hell of a draft to do it. Now, will it reach its full potential in year one? No, it's probably not going to happen. But for the future, you can get you a guy for the next 4 to 5 years, if not longer, depending on his play. You can definitely get your guy this year in the draft. I feel better about the depth at center after day one than I do the tackle position.
As far as like starting caliber, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I got to keep it a buck too. Is like other teams will be way more of a concern, but when it comes to the Cowboys, they do have a knack for being able to pick these linemen throughout the draft in different rounds and getting quality starts out of them.
That's why I said
I'm hanging on to
they
that.
Take a lineman. If they take a lineman, look, bro, I'm not about to sit here and give y'all the schoolmaker face. No. They are literally they are batting 1,000 with first round linemen. 1,000.
Right,
that is uncanny. Right. And look, I don't think this isn't even a hyperbole. Not hyperbolic. My bad. Jerry did not draft a first round offensive lineman until 2011. So they are quite literally batting 1,000 when they take a first round lineman. Yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm not doing it. Until proven otherwise, if they take a first round lineman, you know what that mean to me? Damn it, we just drafted an all-pro. That's just the way it's been going. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it's been going. But all right, man, appreciate the call, big dog.
All right, Scott.
Damn, it just struck me. We brought up this conversation a while back. Like, if they take offensive lineman, I ain't tripping because they've been killing it. But they quite literally, under the Jerry Jones era, since owning the team in '89, every first round offensive lineman has not just been a hit, a homer, a grand slam. It's been a walk-off grand slam. Yeah, you won't see the schoolmaker face, INC. You just won't. Hey, I hope he working with Duke too, man. You need to be working with Duke. Working with Duke doesn't guarantee that you're gonna be like that, though. It helps, you get better, but boy, you dying on this hill, man. I hope like hell, Slim, you can come back here week 8, right? And Awesome Richards is out here just Tyron Smith clone, man. Eric Williams clone. If week 8, Slim, listen, man, you can come on here. I'll put your profile picture back here. I Photoshop Eric Williams and Awesome Richard. I hope like hell you are right, man. Oh my goodness. I just ain't going that far just yet. Not without seeing him playing left tackle and going up against some dogs in camp yet. Brother L, you peep the you peep the consistency. I'll bring out the blazer for draft day. Bring out and different color too. Different color blazer. I'm gonna get a different one this year. We'll see. Stay tuned. Hoffman looked like the starting center. I like Hoffman. I just would rather him be part of the depth. That's the thing. Like, look, y'all. I like these young. I like Bass. I like Hoffman. I like Awesome. Y'all do understand. You still need depth. If it's one thing that this McCarthy regime has told you is that you need depth. Think about this for a second. These dudes, the Hoffmans, the Basses, the Awesomes, these guys were the second and third team. So they get thrusted to be in the first team. All right, bet. Who's the second and third? You know, we deal with injuries a lot in football and in this team. Who? Eric Bostic? Matt Waletzko? Josh Ball? And look, I know this is a problem in a lot of teams, right? But boy, it's rough. Los, what's goody?
Good morning, Scott. Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear.
Man, long time no talk. Hope you're having a great morning.
Thanks, sir.
Another offseason, man. Shoot, crazy, man. But just real quick, man, I really didn't write anything, but I just got some super strong opinions I want to say about the Cowboys, and that's it. And let it ride. First off, free agency with the Cowboys. My thing with every year of free agency is I truly believe it really doesn't matter who we bring in. I truly believe are we going to get the best out of their talent or what they bring to the table? Because I feel, yes, if we bring in the free agency, it could be a linebacker, offensive line, anybody. I just feel we gotta set the standard to make sure that we bring out the best possible, play out of him. Or
you can argue they do that, but if the best Carlos Watkins is not enough, the best J-Ron Curse is not enough, the best James Washington is not enough. So okay, you bring in these Dollar General free agents and you get the best out of them. You are getting Dollar General value. Imagine if you brought in a top tier free agent and got the best now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that holds water. Hey, we get the best out of a former third string safety. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Like, I'm not asking for them to go out and spend $100 million on a player, but I am asking for them to at least show that they want to go out there and get some players that have proven to be better than a third stringer.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Scott. And I completely agree with you. Like, you can't be asking for a 5th round pick to be performing like a 1st round pick. I completely agree, but like at the same time, I'm just to the standard of I'm operating how the Cowboys operate. I have no hope. I just feel like, hey, if we get some cheap steak out there, I just hope they can perform to the better of their ability that they paid for. Yeah, and that's all I can ask for. My second opinion is, if you're not going to spend money on other free agencies that you're not going to have, what happened with spending free agency? Or because I really don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, but don't you have 5 players next year that are out of contract? Frederick, Lamb, not Parsons, but Dak. All these people. If you're not going to sign other people, try to extend your own right now, like you previously have, just avoid all these complications that you're going to come up with. Because if you don't sign Dak now, you're going to have these cap hell with, money managers always you're talking about. And if you don't sign CV, that price is just going to keep going up. You got the Justin Jeffersons of the world you got to sign. I forget all the wide receivers, but they got to get their bag too. So the more Cowboys sit on their ass and just play with their, like Drake,
the more they do the normal thing, that's what they do. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just going to completely regret it.
Wait. What?
Yeah, they're just going to completely regret it, Scott.
Hey,
so,
Los, wait, Los. Come on, dog. Come on, Los.
Hey, yeah. Hey,
Los.
I'm sorry, Scott.
Wait. Just finish, Los. Just come on, man. What?
Hey, that's sometimes how I feel with the Jerry Jones and Steven Jones out here in free agency, man. They can't do anything better, man. But please his own selves. But hey, hopefully we do something this year, guys. Hey, but no, that's this guy. It's either A, we gotta extend our own guys, or B, if we sign some people off the Dollar Tree, like, well, let's just hope they play out and let's do something. But that's all I got, Scott. I got no hope for this year.
I was thinking about something, free agency. I don't even know where it went now after you talk about that. All right, Los, man. Appreciate you, big dog. What?
What?
Don't worry about it. If you miss what he said, you don't want to know. It's just, forget it. What was I saying? I was about to say something. I mean, that just completely threw me off, bro. Because he ain't just say, they just sitting around, just playing with it. He kind of paused and just said, I got to remember to say this part. Like Drake. I mean, what? Los, you wow, dog. I don't even. Oh, I knew what I was about to bring up. It was somebody who I saw a post in there. Yeah, I was trying to figure out the Frederick thing too. I'm trying to credit the person that said this. Here we go. It was Queso. All right, Queso. Let me just copy paste this real quick because I do want to. Hey, Los, a wild boy, dog. Los, hey, real quick. Let me just take a quick little pause, real quick. Can I talk to y'all about Survivor Madness real quick? Let me just regather my thoughts. This week, if I'm not mistaken, I think they'll be dropping the brackets. But nonetheless, man, if you are into the March Madness aura, right? Picking the Final Fours and all that, you will love our Survivor Madness challenge. It's like any other Survivor challenge. You pick one team to win each game of the day. And that team or you advance to the next round, but you can only use one team. The last survivor gets the money. If there's a tie, the pot goes to a split. The more people, the bigger the pot that we will have. Okay, it's only a $10 entry fee. All of the pot goes to the winner of our Survivor Madness Challenge. This is how you do it. You go to splashsports.com/ATOZ, sign up, drop your $10, and you have a chance to win upwards of $5,000+. It's that easy. In fact, I think it's easier than the March Madness bracket because you just pick one team, one college basketball team to win each day of the tournament. If that team survives, you advance, but you can only pick that one team. So head on over to splashsports.com/ATOZ and play where you can. A few states you can't, but tons of them you can.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
What the hell is wrong with him? Oh, man. All right, can we get back to the to the quote? Who else said? Queso said this. Queso, you've been here long enough. You should know how we do it here. Let me read what he said, though. He says, Sky, we've had a top 5 roster the last 3 years. It comes down to culture, coaching, and discipline. That's all. So let me explain myself, because look, there might be a lot of people in here that are very new to what we do here. Okay, you preach it to the choir in regards to culture, coaching, discipline. That's again, toxic will tell you what I always say, and rebuttal with you can't do it. When I'm talking about any player, when I'm talking about any acquisition, when I'm talking about being more aggressive, when I'm talking about any of this stuff, I'm talking about it in reference to having to overcome the culture, the coaching, and the discipline. That's what I'm doing, Queso. This isn't about, the Cowboys didn't have a good enough team to beat the Packers last year. It's not that. They didn't have a good enough coaching. Sure. The problem is who's hiring the coach. The problem is who is setting the standard of culture. That, unfortunately, is not changing. Okay, so for those who are new, how I operate here, in regards to moves that I talk about, trades, free agency acquisitions, whatever, or just kind of my philosophy of I believe they need to get more aggressive. They need to be different. It's not because, Scott, they were 12-5. I get all that. But every time that said roster gets to the playoffs and it can't overcome said coaching who was hired by said front office. So you know what my solution is to all this? If the coaching is not going to change until it has to, if the front office is never going to change, is to get more talent. Because at the end of the day, at some point you just hope the accumulation of talent. Oh, and I love Louis Riddick. I love what Louis Riddick said, but just hold tight on that. The accumulation of talent is enough to overcome the coaching in front office. So, so when you say that, understand, I get it. You've had talented rosters. They ain't been good enough given the way you operate as an organization. They ain't been good enough. So you keep adding. You try to add on top of a 12-5 team. Or you completely change how you operate. Which one you think these fools have a better chance of doing? Not the latter. Not the latter. So I just want to say that for if we have new viewers in here, I think we're all in agreement of what the ultimate issue is with this franchise. Failures for 3 decades. And it's not one player and it's not one coach. It's one family. I'm pretty sure I'll have to say that again a few more times this offseason, but I just wanted to point that out. All right, we got VIP in 214. We're going to wrap up the calls. I got to get VIP up here. What's good, VIP?
Sky is VIP, baby.
What's happening?
Sky, we all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah.
We go through the same thing. The same every offseason. We have parking lot pimping by our upper management, and we expect different. Like he said all in, and you guys took the clickbait. There were some guys, he said all in. We going all in. Jerry meant all in the glory hole. He meant all in. He's talking about the glory hole all in. He ain't talking about us. Because you got to remember.
Y'all out your mind today.
You got your boy mentioning Drake, Jerry in the glory hole. Hey,
man.
look, it's the off-season, Sky. What are we talking about?
I feel you.
This is why I try to not to tap in, because there's really nothing of substance for us to chew on. We know we're not going to go get no big flash free agent. Like, we're going to shop in a Dollar Tree. Yeah. We're going to parking lot pimp, and we're going to hope for the maximum results out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't even get